So how can you, as a software engineer, stand out from the crowd and let other people know what the hell of a hacker you are? The answer is self-marketing and branding. So let's be honest, like we developers, we spend a lot of time working on very complex technical problems. So that means we heavily rely on our analytical skills. And because we know that we are capable of solving like hard problems, we automatically assume that the other person who's like non-technical also knows that we can do that and that we are going to tackle every single technical problem that will be in the way. Like we just assume that they know that. And that is just the biggest fallacy. People will not discover what the hell of a hacker you are. They will not discover your engineering ingenuity. They will not discover that you are a beautiful and unique snowflake, You need to let them know. But most developers don't do that, and that is your chance. So I thought about like how to do it. And sometimes you also don't want to do like everything immediately, but you want to do it step by step. So that's why I thought, okay, what's like the first step? And I thought, okay, step number 1 is obviously optimizing your CV. And that means that don't just use like a crappy Word document and have like a 7-page like resume. Like no one is going to read that. That is kind of obvious. But guys, I have to tell you, ever since I am participating in the recruiting process, I found it always like astonishing how uncommon common sense is. Like it's really remarkable. Like you get a lot of these CVs, and I also was like, but this is clear. No, apparently it's not. That's why I'm mentioning it here. And I also wanted to like stress one more thing here. Like on an abstract level, this is absolutely trivial. But the thing is, people just don't do it. Okay. And in your CV, there are like many experts that can tell you like how to write a CV. I'm not going to go into details here, and simply because I'm not like a CV writing expert on my own. But if I could just give one tip, then I would give you the following tip. Be precise and use numbers in your bullet points. So first of all, have bullet points. Don't make your CV too long or your resume too long, maximum 2 pages. And in your bullet points, always put in like the data. So if I've seen like a CV once which said, I worked on an important part of the project, which kind of tells me you actually didn't do anything regarding that project, because otherwise you would have named this particular part. Okay, so be very precise in what you did, not just the technology, not just, I worked with, I don't know, whatever, JavaScript, Java, yeah. But what business problem did you solve? Because remember, software engineers are not hired because HR wants to have a few geeks around, but you are hired to solve business problems. And business problems are, for one, you can increase revenue or profit, or you can decrease cost. So what you always want to have is you want to have numbers in there. So you can say, I replaced some old integration with an enterprise system with a new and modern solution, and thereby the company saves 300,000 per year. That's impressive, okay? Or if you say, I made the funnel, like our front funnel, more resilient, and now 20% more volume is going through. If you have like a high number, if it's like in the millions or so, like also put like the number in there, because that sounds impressive. Be precise and use like the numbers. And there's like a lot of content and videos and blog articles on that. Just have a look at them. So that's like stage 1, so to say. Now stage 2, which is in my opinion also more or less mandatory in my opinion, besides having like the CV, is be on LinkedIn and groom your LinkedIn profile. Like I find it always remarkable that people who are like quite smart, like have like pretty bad LinkedIn profiles. And with pretty bad LinkedIn profiles, I mean, either they have like a bad image, a low quality image they took with a $10 webcam. That's not good. or they don't have like a proper description in in their CV or like in their profile. Like just take the bullet points from like your CV and put them in here, like, and really think about like what you write. Don't just say, oh yeah, I work with this programming language. Like, yeah, no one cares about that. People care about what problems you can solve for them. How can you decrease cost or increase revenue? That's like all they care about, okay? And also one more thing, always answer to every single connection request. Like turn your email notifications on, and if someone adds you on LinkedIn, always accept. Like if it's a recruiter, then maybe, and you are not interested, write back, hey, thanks man, but I'm currently not interested, but would be great to stay in contact. And if you do that for a while, you'll end up having like a few hundred recruiters in your contact list, which can be like very handy later on if you're like looking for something else. So that, in my opinion, is like the absolute minimum. So really optimizing your CV, not just some ugly Word document, but just with the points we kind of talked previously. And having like a LinkedIn profile where you respond to all connections requests, where you have a proper image, because people are going to judge your competence based on that image. Now you might say, well, but that's superficial, and say, yeah, it is, but that's just the way it is. And so far these points were like trivial, right? You say, oh yeah, but that's like common sense. Yes, but again, it's quite remarkable how uncommon common sense is. So people understand it on an abstract level, but they just don't do it. And that is the main issue. So these are basically the two, I would say, mandatory things. Also, always reply to in-mails, because they are like very expensive, like on LinkedIn. So people are going to be very thankful if you say, hey, sorry, not now, but yeah, let's stay in contact, because it's like very expensive to send like an in-mail. So reply to them. And the third thing is obviously work on your portfolio. Now, this is also an obvious point. Like if you ask someone, oh yeah, what should you do? Yeah, proper CV, LinkedIn profile, and your portfolio. Yes, but if you ask like your developers, like in the company you work, how many of them actually have a portfolio? Not many, right? And that is the problem. It's the difference between knowing what to do versus actually doing it. And if they were in the job, like they would do it because someone would kick them if they don't. But if they have to do it voluntarily, they don't do it. And I think that's like a big issue. So step 3 is work on your portfolio. Even if you are a back-end developer, like when someone visits your portfolio, they are going to judge your skills based on the aesthetic quality of the website. So even if you're like the best back-end engineer, but your site looks totally awful, people are just not going to reach out to you because it just looks weird, because they just don't have anything they could judge you on. And again, on your portfolio, you would then have like the bullet points you kind of have in your CV. And if you do it right, you can use Gatsby and just host it like on Netlify. Then it's even for free. You just need to like get into Gatsby a little bit and just make it work. And the same thing applies here for LinkedIn profile. Like use proper images. Like don't use like cheap images. And pay attention to the design, even if you're like a backend developer. That's like very important. Yeah, so that is basically stage 3. And stage 4 is then actually regular content creation. So that means either on LinkedIn or like on your website or on your blog. And I think this is really cool if you do that, because for one, you have something you can show around, and it kind of also trains you, so you kind of get better in the things you do. And it also allows you to kind of have like your personal archive, because sometimes you work on something, and then you don't really remember exactly, how did that work again? But if you kind of write a blog post, or you have like some YouTube video, or you try to build like some form of reach somehow, like trying to give back to the community, being active like on Twitter, like that is something that I would say is then on the next level, right? Because the first 3 levels like are relatively low effort, right? CV, you have that anyway. LinkedIn, you can just copy from your CV, it's also low effort. Now for your portfolio, you need to think about like design and that kind of stuff. It needs to be custom. That's a little bit more work. But then afterwards, like regular content creation requires regular effort. Yeah, so that's my take on self-marketing and branding as a developer. These are like the first steps. Make sure to start at least with one. Maybe just review your CV, or maybe just have a look at your LinkedIn profile and check like if it's still good. Maybe you can work on the photo a little bit. I think if you do that, then you already have a takeaway from this video. Yeah, apart from that, what are your ideas on marketing and on branding as a developer? What do you think? Leave me a comment below. You can also reach out to me on Twitter. My Twitter handle is @productioncoder. And yeah, that's it pretty much. Thank you so much for watching. Leave a like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.